John Collins, 36 Selling. Before I ask a question, can I just make a little comment? Not addressed at these, just what.
Brief, please.
I moved out to Maywood 5 years ago. My property tax was $7,400. They're now close to $12,000. Thank you for your Christmas card, Mr. Papadano. I love it. Very nice card. My question is, Mr. Fleischman talked about running like a business, Mr. Papadano about rateables. My question is that, who's going to be held accountable if you're taking in more rateables and you're bringing in more money? Who's going to be held accountable if we just spend it, like somebody mentioned, the police overtime, and it's just wasted, like the town don't even have enough money for the library, you know what I mean, to support them. Like who's going to be, in the past, it seems like to me that nobody's been held accountable for the property taxes. I talk to a lot of old people. I'm home now, my arm, and senior citizens today in this town, live in this town, they can't even buy the food that they want to buy. They got to buy like store brand stuff. They got to cut back because the property taxes. Also, my concern, and maybe you can address this question, is if the property taxes keep going up, how are we going to sell our homes? It's hard enough to sell your house. How are we going to sell our home if the property tax is out of control? How are we going to create families to come into the, I love this town. I think, I didn't want to move here. I fell here, I come from New York, but it's a great town. I love to stay here. But if the property taxes keep getting out of control and we're not doing nothing about it, where are we going to end up? You know what I mean? Thanks. I'm going to sit my arm out.
Thank you for the statement and the question. I hope I can formulate an answer to everything you were asking. Listen, I share your pain, okay? I'm a taxpayer also. So everything we do here affects me as well. I like to deal in real numbers, okay? I've calculated my taxes out from 2005 to 2011. And at the end of the day, the mayor and council is ultimately responsible for what goes on in the borough financially, budgeting, and your taxes, okay? There are many things that affect your taxes. The spending in this town, as we hear often, is out of control. Taxes are out of control. The spending is not out of control. It's what we have to deal with to run the borough. We have to provide a certain amount of services, a certain amount of things that need to go on here every single day. Over the last 6 years that I calculated out my taxes have gone up too, okay? It's not something that I like and I enjoy, but this is reality. Some of the things that affect our taxes, whether we have rateables or not, we had a 15 to 20% increase in health insurance this year. We had pension payment increases, which through no fault of our own. We had utility increases, public service, United Water. There's an article here today, yesterday's paper, United Water is going for a 23% rate increase. We have to run the borough. How do we provide for that? If they raise our rates 23%, well, we have to pay the water bill. We also have the cost of our maintaining our fire hydrant fees went up 17% last year, which is an item that I vehemently am fighting with the state. We also have to deal with the loss of state aid. And we are not the only budget in town. There's also a budget here that this gentleman oversees as well. So we have to deal with all of these things, and we have to run the community. No one likes a tax increase, believe me, least of all me. But there are factors outside of our control that we have to deal with. I would petition the governor and say we have a 2% tax cap, but we allow the utilities to raise us more than 10%.
Your question was about accountability. One of the questions. Taxes in Maywood over the past 7 years have increased over 50%. We've added $650,000 each year during those last 7 years on average to the municipal budget. Taxes are a problem. Accountability gets by electing new people to represent you. You know, there was a quote in a paper a couple of years ago when we had that electric car. I think it's coming back. We had the electric car, and the quote was, "It didn't cost us a dime, we used the parking ticket money." Well, if you didn't use the parking ticket to buy the electric car that disappeared for 3 years, you'd still have the parking ticket money. So you've got to proactively plan. I understand there will be increases in health benefits, there will be increases in pension, but you got to plan for it. You got to proactively accept that that's going to happen and go after more income and go after where can I cut, because I know that I'm not going to be able to cut this. That's accountability.